Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank everybody for coming out. This is our 24th annual IGFA International, I threw out our first and last name, the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame ceremony, and want to welcome everybody to Johnny Morris's Wonders of Wildlife National Museum and Aquarium out here in Springfield, Missouri. This is our home, and we love it. It's a beautiful facility, as you can see from behind me. I want to say hello to everybody on Facebook. Also want to apologize. We're having a bit of an issue with it, so it might be a little clunky there, but we know you're out there in New Zealand with the watch party for Jerry, so thank you so much. And Tom Evans, our presenting sponsor, we know you're here too, so thank you for being out there. And again, we'll get you the videos afterwards, so don't worry about that too much. You know, you guys are real quiet tonight. There we go. That's a little better. That's a little better. I never know what to expect when I step up here. Some nights it's really ruckus. Well, Dean will get started a little later, we think. But tonight it's a little spookily quiet. Anyhow, my name's Eric Combass. I'm the Development Director for the International Game Fish Association, and this is my honor and privilege to do this event every year. So again, thank you everybody for joining us. I'm going to jump off the stage. I'm going to invite our chairman, Mr. Roy Croniker, to please come up and welcome everybody.
Good evening, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. I want to really thank you for making the trip to Springfield for this great event. This is our hallowed hall, if you would call it, and it is where all the people that have worked so hard in our industry get honored by their peers. It's the most heartwarming event I think that we have. I want to congratulate the new inductees. I want to thank their families and friends for coming to Springfield, as I said. I want to thank Johnny Morris and Bass Pro and Cabela's for being our presenting sponsor, Tom Evans for being a table sponsor. Sorry that Tom can't make it. We're going to miss him. I hope he's watching, at least. And our other sponsors for this evening. Enjoy yourselves. Let's hear the stories and enjoy. Have a good night.
Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? All right. Good to see some excitement in the audience. It's good to see a lot of familiar faces and some that have not been here before. By show of hands, boy, and those are some bright lights. How many people have not been to the Wonders of Wildlife Museum? There's a few people. So just a quick aside, when this started to become an idea, Johnny Morris started inviting conservation partners, and at that time, my predecessor and good friend Rob Kramer, when he was president, we were invited out multiple times to see this thing when it was being built. You know, Rob and I were talking earlier, it is amazing what Johnny's vision is and what he's achieved with this. I come here at least 2 times a year for business every time I come through. I walk through the whole thing and I see something new every time. And I just heard, in addition to winning the best aquarium in the United States 5 times, they have just surpassed their 6 millionth visitor since they opened in September of 2017. Let's give them a hand. You know, Eric mentioned earlier that tonight is a special evening, and we all like that word special, but it gets thrown around a lot. It can mean a lot to different people, have a lot of different connotations, but I took the liberty of looking up the definition in the Cambridge Dictionary, and I'll quote, "Special is defined as especially great or important, or having a quality that most similar things or people do not have." Think about that. I think that is the perfect adjective for tonight, not only for this ceremony, but for the people that we're about to induct. We do a lot of different work at the IGFA. Our conservation work spans the gamut from advocating for policies that benefit not only anglers, but the aquatic resources on which we depend. We participate in cutting-edge research. Our education efforts focus on teaching the next generation of ethical anglers, which in turn will be our next generation of environmental stewards. However, this evening speaks directly to the foundation of the IGFA, acknowledging outstanding contributions in the field of angling. And as I've said before, there are multiple ways that you can make outstanding contributions such as these. And tonight is no different. We will be enshrining tonight individuals that are exceptional anglers, record holders, pioneers, conservationists, or a combination of all the above. So congratulations to all of you that are getting tonight. However, as special as this evening is, and I like that word special again, it's also a solemn reminder of how ephemeral life is. Unfortunately, over the last year, we lost two IGFA Hall of Famers, Captain Peter B. Wright and Dave Whitlock. And while they're no longer with us, this hall will forever hold their memories and stories. And I'd like to ask for a brief moment of silence to remember them. Thank you, everyone. Okay, moving on. I want to cover some ground tonight to thank some people so we can get to the real party, hear the stories, and see the people that deserve to be up here. I'd also like to express my thanks to IGFA Trustee Emeritus Johnny Morris. I'm sorry you couldn't be here tonight. I assume he's out elk hunting or doing something fun like that. Joining us tonight is Bob Seamer, Senior Director of Conservation for Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's, as well as several others from their team. Bob, we enjoy working with you and your team, so thank you very much. Before we get, yeah, absolutely. Before we get started with tonight's program, I'd like to take a few minutes to acknowledge some of the other sponsors that make this event possible. You know, events like this take a lot of work, not only from the team at IGFA, but from the people that actually put forth the resources to make sure it comes together. As Roy mentioned already, I'd like to thank Tom Evans for his Hemingway sponsorship. Tom, sorry you're not here. Hope you're looking, mate. It's a great night. I'd also like to thank our Zane Gray sponsors, our IGFA chairman, Roy Kronecker. Thank you very much. AFCO. AFCO in honor of Bill Shedd. Thank you so much for coming out and being part of this. IGFA Mike Criscola, thank you for your sponsorship. And the very venerable Tuna Club in honor of Jerry Garrett. Thank you for your support. What? Okay. Sorry, I'm getting coached over here, okay? I'm new here. I'd also like to acknowledge our Ted Williams sponsor, the Coastal Conservation Association, courtesy of my good friend Pat Murray. Thank you for being out here this evening. I promise you I'm going to be as brief as possible, but before I turn this program over to our MC, Andy Mill, there are a few other people that I need to recognize in the audience. Hall of Famers. First of all, my good friend, Steve Huff. Captain Steve Huff, where are you? I got bright lights. Yes, please stand up. There you are. 2018 Hall of Fame inductee, Dr. Marty Arostegui. His wife will be enshrined tonight. 2016 Hall of Fame inductee and IGFA Trustee Emeritus, Mr. Tim Choate. The always enthusiastic 2016 Hall of Fame inductee, Deborah Dunaway. And finally, our 2019 Hall of Fame inductee, Bob Hayes. Thank you for coming. There are a few other people that I want to acknowledge tonight. We have a wonderful engaged board consisting of 28 men and women from around the world of vastly different ages, fishing disciplines, people from 8 different countries, and we're so fortunate that they're engaged and they come to these events tonight like this. So I'd like to acknowledge the trustees that I have not mentioned so far. Gary Carter, thanks so much for coming. Miss Stephanie Choate. Mark Davis. Our MC, Andy Mill. Mr. Bill Shedd, who we will be hearing much more about this evening, and Ajay Vicente. In addition to our IGFA Board of Trustees, we also have a very engaged Board of Trustee Emeriti, people that have lingered on after terming off the IGFA Board that are still very supportive, and we are very appreciative of these people. And we have two people in attendance tonight, our former chairman, Carlos Duncan, excuse me, thank you for being here. And then my good friend, mentor, and former president of the IGFA, Rob Kramer. I'm almost done, folks. I promise a few more people to thank. I would also like to thank Charles, Patty, Allison, and the team at the John A. and Jenny Morris Conservation Center and Johnny Morris Wonders of Wildlife National Museum and Aquarium for the great food tonight. So thank you very much for that. Finally, and last but not least, I want to thank staff. We have a wonderful staff at the IGFA. People have come up to me and said, thank you so much for everything you're doing tonight. This is all I do for this event. I come up and speak for a few minutes. We've got a very talented staff that puts a lot of work in throughout the year to make sure that everybody has a great time. The venue's great, and I want to acknowledge them tonight. Ms. Kim Strong, who I think a number of the inductees have met and talked to. Rachel Sylvester, our new events manager, thank you so much. Our Angler Recognition Coordinator, Zach Bellapignas, some of you know him. He's not in attendance tonight, but he's a big help in terms of assembling bias for the inductees, so thanks to him. Our Creative Brand Manager, Adrian Gray. And finally, our Development Director, Eric Combass. Eric Combass throws the best parties in recreational fishing, so give him a big hand right now. Okay, guys, I'm almost done. With that, I am pleased to welcome our Master of Ceremonies, IGFA trustee, two-time Olympian, Aspen Hall of Fame inductee, award-winning author of A Passion for Tarpon, and host of the Millhouse podcast. Andy Mill, everybody.
Y'all having a good time? Should have seen us last night. The only thing that moved all day today were my eyeballs. Welcome to the show, everybody. I too would like to welcome everybody here, and for our 5 new inductees, start a nice soft applause as I mention these names and start building. Roberta Arostegui, come on, give it to me. Kay Brodney, Gerald, Jerry, Garrett, Dean Butler, and Bill Shedd. Come on, let's hear it for these guys. First, I'd like to talk briefly about the importance of this evening. The International Game Fish Association was established in 1939. For 84 years, it's been committed to the conservation of game fish and the promotion of responsible, ethical angling practices through science, education, rulemaking, record-keeping, and recognition of outstanding accomplishments in the field of angling. The IGFA Hall of Fame recognizes extraordinary achievements in recreational fishing around the world by anglers, captains, scientists, conservationists, writers, or fishing industry leaders. When the late, great IGFA Hall of Famer Mark Sosin used to host this event, he'd say, and I quote, "There's no greater tribute in life than to be recognized and honored by one's peers. You cannot buy it. It has to be earned. There's no greater tribute in all of fishing than to be inducted into the International Game Fish Hall of Fame." There you go. That says it all. Tonight we are honoring a select few who have dedicated much of their lives to our world of fishing and conservation. And the question is, what happened to them to ignite an insatiable desire to work tirelessly for decades and decades, and eventually attain a high level of success and influence. What happened? Well, I think this great quote from John Buchan in the late 1800s could help sum it up. He says, "The charm of fishing is that it is the pursuit of that which is elusive but attainable, a perpetual series of occasions for hope." Well, it's nothing shy of amazing what a passionate heart, along with a belly full of hope, can accomplish. Tonight, we're going to hear all about it. Since the IGFA's inception, there have only been 141 people enshrined into the Sacred Hall. Tonight, we're adding 5 more. And right now, it is time. Our first inductee this evening is Roberta Arostegui. She is the matriarch of a family that has dedicated themselves to catching world records, 874 to be exact. She's contributed 238 of those records, and throughout her angling career, she has also received numerous awards for her fishing prowess from a variety of organizations. Let's now take a closer look at Roberta's incredible career.
Roberta G. Arostegui was born in New Bedford, Massachusetts on October 15, 1951. Roberta's childhood home backed up to a large pond where her mother taught her how to fish using bread balls to catch perch. As she grew older, Roberta and her mother would fish the jetties of Cape Cod and other local bodies of water around the Cape. Roberta credits her family's love for the ocean with the seafaring genes passed down from her great-grandfather for her illustrious angling career. In her early 20s, Roberta moved to South Florida, where she met her husband, IGFA Hall of Fame member Dr. Martin Arostegui, who would take her fishing to another level. Roberta's story has always been, "My mom taught me to fish. My husband, Marty, taught me how to catch." Together they had 3 children with whom they passed down their love for fishing and the outdoors. Roberta spent years traveling with her family to some of the world's most incredible fishing destinations. On these trips, Roberta considered herself more of a boat elf, while all 3 children racked up IGFA World Records. As the children grew older, Roberta wanted the challenge of setting a goal and trying to accomplish it herself. In addition to her husband, Roberta credits both IGFA staff and International Women's Fishing Association members for encouraging her to begin her pursuit of records. Throughout her angling career, Roberta has amassed an incredible list of accomplishments, awards, and achievements. Since setting her first IGFA World Record on August 13, 1999, Roberta has compiled 236 IGFA World Records on 54 species in 10 countries. In addition to her impressive list of IGFA World Records, Roberta has completed IGFA Salmon, Bass, and Trout Royal Slams, as well as Salmon and Trout Grand Slams, and also a Bass Super Grand Slam. Roberta is the first woman ever to achieve 200 IGFA World Records, and in 2015, she received the IGFA Lifetime Achievement Award. However, her angling accolades are not limited to the IGFA. Roberta was also active in the prestigious Metropolitan South Florida Fishing Tournament and won their Women's Master Angler Award 3 times. One of the most meaningful awards Roberta has received is the K. Rybovich Award from the International Women's Fishing Association in 2008 and 2011. K. Rybovich is an IGFA Hall of Fame inductee and founding member of the IWFA. The award recognizes anglers who release the greatest number of different species in a year from the IWFA species list. In 2014, 2015, and 2016, Roberta won the IWFA's Fly Fishing Award, the Vernon Fly Award, and the McManus Total Fly Award. In 2020, Roberta became the first and only member of the IWFA to earn the IWFA Master Angler Award. an angler must first receive 500 monthly awards from the IWFA to qualify for the award, a truly impressive accomplishment. Roberta's participation with the IWFA extends much further than her awards. She served as a board member of the organization and, during her tenure, took on various capacities including parliamentarian, conservation chairman, junior angler sponsor, and as a board member of the IWFA Scholarship Trust. Roberta views her work with the IGFA and the IWFA as a way of giving back and saying thank you for all that these organizations have provided for her. When asked how fishing has shaped her life, Roberta responded, "It has brought me incredible happiness. It has given me countless hours on the water, surrounded by the beauty of nature, and it has given our children exposure to the fragility of the Earth's issues regarding the health of the planet, various environments, its wildlife, and inhabitants." Today, Roberta has a daughter who is a climate change analyst and environmental policy expert, another daughter who teaches science, and a son who is a marine biologist and fisheries scientist. For her extensive list of awards, accolades, and accomplishments, the IGFA is proud to induct Roberta G. Arostegui into the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame.
Well, he's already said it, but I'm supposed to say it again. On behalf of the IGFA Board of Trustees and our members worldwide, I am pleased to induct Roberta Arostegui into the IGFA Hall of Fame. There you go, Bob. Congratulations. That's so great. You have a great family. Chasing all these records around the world.
Never did I dream that I would stand here tonight and be inducted into the Fishing Hall of Fame. I thank you all for being here to help celebrate all of us that are being inducted. And I wish to congratulate my fellow Hall of Fame inductees, Kay, Gerald, Bill, and Dean. It's an honor to be inducted along with you this evening. I also wish to extend my sincere thanks to the IGFA, the president, Jason Schrottweiser. I'll never forget the call you made to me, and the entire board of trustees and the entire staff of the IGFA for their encouragement and support over the past 24 years, culminating in this incredible honor tonight. Achievements like this don't often happen without a team of individuals. And my sincere thanks goes to those who have played such an important role in my standing here this evening, including the many guides who put me on the fish and taught me so many valuable lessons about life and fishing along the way. To those who helped me achieve many of my awards and world records, a special thanks for the numerous days that I spent on the water, and they helped me in that pursuit. And I have to name them: Captain Bouncer Smith, the late Captain Ralph Delph, Captain Alan Zaremba, Captain Bobby McGinnis, Captain Kirkland, the late Captain Ray Culver, and Captain Eric Herstead, and all the other wonderful guides that took me out on the water. A special thanks goes to the International Women's Fishing Association. They're my friends, and they're wonderful female anglers. They have inspired me, challenged me, and cheered me on. This is a group of women who love to fish, and it's so nice to be surrounded by women who enjoy the sport as much as I do. They have achieved, many of those have achieved great angling recognition, and many are in the Hall of Fame. But my favorite captain and mate will always be my husband, Marty, and my son, Martini. I want you to know that they officially or occasionally refer to themselves as my boat elves. But I want them to know that I couldn't be standing here this evening without the two of them. Your mastery of fishing techniques, your knowledge of fish behavior, the hours of research and tackle preparation, and your patience as I learned how to fly fish. And your occasional yelling at me that, why didn't you put that fly where I told you to? Well, you know, if I could have, I would have. I was just learning at the time. But they stuck with me, they encouraged me, they challenged me, and I would not be here if it wasn't for the two of you. A huge thanks has to go to my mom, because she was the one that introduced my brother, Robert, who is here with me this evening, and myself, fishing when we were children. I thank her from the bottom of my heart for introducing me to a sport that I have loved. It has taken me on the most spectacular journey, and little did she know at the time what a precious gift she was giving to me. To make it clear, it was my mother that introduced me to fishing and taught me how to fish, but definitely it was my husband who taught me how to catch. And I do love to catch, so I thank him for that. For me, fishing has not only been about what I catch, but appreciating the beauty of nature that surrounds me when I am out there. I have been surrounded by some of the most beautiful scenery and wildlife. A flock of roseate spoonbills flying overhead in Flamingo, alligators circling the boat, 21 one day that we were out, in the Everglades, hippopotamus alongside the boat, and elephants crossing in front of me in the Zambezi River in Africa while fishing for tigerfish. Tunas, dolphins spinning in the air in Costa Rica, humpback whales breaching in the Stellwagen Bank off of Cape Cod, or bubble feeding in the Alaska. And finally, brown bears feeding on schools of salmon as I swim upstream. And those are just a few of the things that you see when you're out fishing, and makes it such a spectacular journey. Fishing's always been a family affair, as it said up in the video, but it's been those moments and events you shared that has led our family to have a heightened interest in and concern for the environment, so important to the planet's future. I want to take a minute to thank our children. I will always cherish those shared hours and days of exploration, enjoyment, and happy moments together. Together, we dove into the ocean, and we fished and we explored the surrounding environments. I am so proud of how you have and been motivated by those experiences in the career choices that you have made. That you care greatly for those incredible places that we were fortunate enough to see and want to prevent their decline. Ali is a high school teacher with an advanced degree working with students with learning challenges and shares her firsthand knowledge of the ocean and nature with them. Danielle has an advanced degree in environmental policy and economics, working with the Environmental Defense Fund, develops policies and initiatives as an environmental policy expert on climate change. And our son Martini is a postdoctoral investigator in the biology department of Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, carrying out groundbreaking research on marine fish biology, ecology, behavior, and geolocation methods. I'm so proud of the work that all three of you do, and I'm so blessed that I got to take this journey with you. Finally, as I've said, fishing is not only about the fish for me, it's about being immersed in some of the most incredible and pristine locations, surrounded by the wildlife that lives there and the fascinating people that you meet along the journey. It teaches you about nature and our fragile environment. It broadens your horizons. It challenges you, and it sometimes humbles you. May we all work hard to protect the resources necessary for a healthy ecosystem that will allow many future generations to see, benefit from, and enjoy what we've had the opportunity and to experience in our lifetime. It will take all of us to make that happen. Thank you very much for this incredible honor.
I think it's quite obvious that the great conservationists of the world are hunters and fishermen, and it's a great example that Roberta just gave. Her whole family is not only invested in catching these records, but in saving what we all love so much. So again, thank you so much, and congratulations, Roberta. That was awesome. Our next inductee, Kay Brodney. She was incredible, so incredible. Her contribution to fishing was groundbreaking and extensive. A pioneer in many ways, her life in fishing began over 75 years ago, and it would eventually find her fishing extremely remote regions of South America, decades before it really became accessible and popular. Let's take a look at this wonderful pioneer, Kay Brodney.
Kay Brodney is widely recognized as one of the most spirited and adventurous fly fishing pioneers of the 20th century. Born in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin in 1920, Kay grew up fishing at her family's summer cottage on Green Lake. Affected by the Great Depression, her family would eventually call the cottage home. It wasn't until 1948, while witnessing a casting competition at Golden State Park in San Francisco, where Kay discovered her passion. Kay quickly began fly fishing and developed her exceptional casting skills. In 1950, she placed third in the Western Championship distance casting competition, only to be told she was disqualified for being a woman. Undeterred, she continued to compete and went on to win the National Association of Accuracy Casting Ladies Dry Fly Competition in 1956. Through these tournaments, she discovered a love for steelhead fishing and spent several years in Northern California living as a self-described fishing bum. Her newfound love brought her up the coast chasing steelhead until she settled in Seattle, Washington. Throughout this time, Kay began to travel as well. According to the American Museum of Fly Fishing, Kay is thought to be one of the first to catch a dorado on a fly, and in 1962 landed a 137.6-pound tarpon on 12-pound tippet in the Florida Keys while fishing with IGFA Hall of Fame inductees Stu Apt and Ted Williams. While living in Seattle, Kay began to attend classes at the University of Washington, eventually graduating with a bachelor's degree in zoology in 1965. Seeking further education to help fund her fishing lifestyle, she set out in search of an advanced degree. This led Kay back to the East, where she received a master's degree in library science from Rutgers University. She then went on to work as a librarian at the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., where she eventually served as the head of the Life Sciences Subject Catalog section. Through her readings at the Library of Congress, Kay got the idea to travel around the world and fish unusual destinations. On these trips, Kay did what other anglers hesitated to do. Kay spent many extended vacations fishing in extreme and remote regions of South America. With poor sleeping accommodations and a lack of transportation, Kay returned year after year chasing the thrill of landing peacock bass and other species on a fly. Kay was accompanied in one of these Amazon trips by Sports Illustrated writer Clive Gammon. In May of 1981, Clive released his article, "Please Don't Fall in the Water," sharing with the world the details of Kay's incredible expeditions. In addition to her work in the Library of Congress, Kay also served on the American Museum of Fly Fishing Board of Trustees from 1974 until 1983. Unable to fish herself, she spent her later years accompanying others, including her friend and IGFA Hall of Fame member Joan Wolfe. After suffering for several years from a circulatory disease contracted from an insect bite sustained on one of her many South American trips, Kay died in 1994. A trailblazer for women in the sport and a pioneer, the IGFA is proud to induct Kay Brodney into the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame.
On behalf of the IGFA Board of Trustees and our members worldwide, I am pleased and honored to induct Kay Brodney into the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame. And as it stated in the video tribute, Kay passed away in 1994, but however, as Jason said earlier, her memory will forever be enshrined into this great hall. Our next inductee, from down under. There are very few anglers and guides that draw the attention deserved as Dean Butler. These are the people that chase the largest fish that swim in the ocean. Butler, Evans, Camposi, fly or conventional, they push records that can never be broken. Butler could do it all, and he did it all, qualifying him as one of the greatest that have ever stepped onto this Hall of Fame stage. Just take a look at his extraordinary life.
Cray, renowned fly angler and a member of the IGFA Hall of Fame, was once quoted as referring to Dean Butler as the best all-around fisherman in the world. Born in Melbourne, Australia on February 18, 1962, fishing was not a large part of Dean's childhood. His first fishing trip came at age 7 with a family friend catching flathead in a local bay. Several years later, while in his early teens, Dean began fishing with a friend on weekends, catching trout in a local river. His first exposure to big game fishing came at the age of 18, when he landed a tuna aboard a charter, and from that point forward, he was hooked. Through his early 20s, Dean worked for his father's company, which made bearings. While working for his father, Dean would fish and travel throughout Australia whenever he could get time off. He always knew he wanted to fish, and at 23 years old, Dean took his first opportunity to make a living doing what he loved. The opportunity came from legendary Australian fly angler Rod Harrison. Considered one of Australia's most innovative and respected sport fishing and saltwater fly fishing writers, Rod invited Dean to partner with him, and the duo began filming fishing videos in the late 1980s. During this time, filming with Rod, Dean met Lefty Cray, whom he credits with broadening his fishing horizon, and the two became close friends. In the early 90s, Dean began to target fish on fly for IGFA World Records. While on a trip with friends to Papua New Guinea, he discovered an area where he could have several chances at dogtooth tuna on fly. Their first shot at a record came on the first day when his friend fought a large tuna to the boat after 40 minutes. Unfortunately, the fish was lost boatside, but the early success gave Dean hope that they could achieve their goal quickly, as it took Dean nearly 3 years to land his first dogtooth tuna record. On April 20th, 1996, Dean landed his first IGFA World Record billfish, a 199-pound, 8-ounce striped marlin, earning him the IGFA Men's 20-pound tippet class world record. Word quickly spread about Dean's fly fishing world records, and he began to attract charter clients interested in his expertise with large game fish on fly. Over the next several decades, Dean fished with several high-profile anglers, including IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame member Tom Evans, who he guided to several IGFA billfish records on fly, including the largest striped marlin ever caught on fly, a 240-pound fish caught on 20-pound tippet. He also guided IGFA Fishing Hall of Famer Enrico Capozzi to his incredible 735-pound black marlin, caught on 6-pound line. The relationships Dean formed with these anglers gave him the opportunity to travel the globe, and fished the world's premier destinations. However, despite experiencing so many fishing destinations around the world, Dean states that it's not necessarily a location that attracts him, but more so the untouched nature of a fishery. For Dean, being able to explore the remote reaches of our oceans and fish where no one has before is what has interested him the most, and he is extremely grateful to be able to travel to so many of these untouched parts of our world and fish for such a wide variety of amazing game fish throughout his career. When asked how fishing has influenced his life, Dean responds simply, "Fishing has been my life." Throughout his life, Dean has been a fishing photographer, a fishing journalist, a tackle salesman, a tackle consultant, a fishing guide, a deckhand, and a captain. Dean's entire life has been fishing, but it's not one linear path. He's kept his passion and interest in the sport by having a hand in virtually every aspect of the industry, brushing shoulders with the legends of our industry along the way. For his success in all aspects of our sport, the IGFA is proud to induct Dean Butler into the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame.
Yes, sir. 20 years ago, Lefty Cray wrote the IGFA, Rob Kramer, and I a letter nominating Dean Butler into the Hall of Fame. Well, here we are, and I get to say those great words we've been waiting for. I am honored to induct Dean Butler on behalf of the IGFA, the trustees, and our members worldwide into the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks, everyone, for coming tonight. I'd just like to say congratulations to everyone else that's been nominated and inducted. I've got to say that I'm way more comfortable leadering a big giant black marlin or trying to stick a gaff into a blue marlin on fly, but so I'm nervous and I'm going to make this really short. I'm very humbled and privileged to be recognised by my peers in the IGFA and extremely proud to be standing here now. Thanks so much. There are so many people to thank, certainly way more than time allows, and I would hate to not mention someone who deserves to be noted. So let's just say that they know who they are. Having said that, I can't stand here and not mention one person in particular. Someone I have had the privilege to get to know and to be proud to call my friend, and that's Tom Evans. Unfortunately, Tom couldn't be here tonight, but he assures me he's here in spirit. I believe Jason's hooked him up on some Zoom thing or something, which I'm sure he'll stuff up, so he'll see the video, I guess. He doesn't know how to do it. We fished together for more than 20 years with many of the best captains and crews in the world, and working together we caught some great big game fly rod records. But it was way more than simply a fishing journey, so much more. I learned many life lessons during these trips with Tom, and I cherish every one of those memories. The great ones, the funny ones, and even the many, many torturous ones. I love you, Tom. Every record I've been involved in would not have been possible without the skills, dedication and determination of my captains, crews and clients, most of whom became my true and valued lifetime friends. I often get asked what's the best record I ever have been involved in, and I can truthfully say that it'll be the next one, so I hope to bring that on soon. And finally, I would like to give a big shout out to my wife Corinne and our boys Reed and Zane. Without their incredible love and support, I wouldn't have been able to achieve what I have. I've stood on a lot of strong shoulders to be here tonight. And for all the personal passion and milestones down the years, I know that above all, this is a team sport, the very best in the world. Thank you.
The great Bill Shedd is here. We are honoring him. As a young man, Bill loved chasing fish with his father, Milt, who is also a member of this elite club. And his father's most poignant message to his son was to give back to the sport that has given his family so much. And when you watch this video, you'll be hard-pressed to find anyone in the world that has worked harder towards fish conservation than Bill Shedd. Just take a look.
Bill Shedd is the CEO and chairman of the American Fishing Tackle Company, or AFTCO. Shedd was born in North Hollywood, California in 1952 and is the son of IGFA Hall of Famer and legendary angler and conservationist Milt Shedd. Hailing from such an impressive pedigree, it is no surprise that Bill would go on to devote his life to fishing and conservation. Bill was introduced to fishing at the age of 4 by his father and fondly remembers his first fishing experience, fishing for trout in the rain. From that point on, fishing became Bill's life ambition. As a young boy, he fished the Balboa Peninsula and, in high school, pursued calico bass around California's offshore islands. One of Bill's most memorable fishing experiences was when he was young, was riding his bike to Newport Harbor and catching Pacific barracuda. He couldn't wait to get home that day to show his father the fish that he had caught. However, instead of being lauded, he was reprimanded for harvesting fish that were both undersized and not good to eat. This lesson would stick with him for the rest of his life. Bill grew to be an incredibly accomplished angler and has fished the world for everything from giant marlin to largemouth bass. His most memorable catches include a 400-pound-plus swordfish on stand-up gear, a satellite-tagged 250-pound bluefin tuna, a 45-pound white sea bass from his kayak, and assisting IGFA trustee Neil Patrick in catching, satellite tagging, and releasing a giant black marlin that would have certainly been an IGFA World Record. Shortly after purchasing AFTCO, Milt Shedd required heart surgery, and Bill had to step up to help run things. The job was supposed to be temporary, but ultimately led to Bill becoming president and turning it into one of the world's most successful tackle companies. During his early years at AFTCO, his father urged him to donate time and resources to conservation efforts. His father told him, "If you're going to benefit from AFTCO and fishing, you have to give back." And give back he has. Since the mid-1980s, Bill has volunteered 400 to 500 hours annually to recreational fishing issues. Bill joined the IGFA Board of Trustees in 2002 and served as chairman of the IGFA Conservation Committee until 2022. He founded the Coastal Conservation Association of California, where he serves as chairman. Bill also is a board member for the Hub SeaWorld Research Institute Center for Sport Fishing Policy and the California Artificial Reef Enhancement Program. Shedd's past appointments include serving as chairman of the American Sport Fishing Association's Government Affairs Committee for 30 years, co-founding the United Anglers of Southern California, serving on the Marine Fishery Advisory Committee and Ocean Resources Enhancement Hatchery Program, to name a few. Following his father's footsteps, Bill spearheaded the sport fishing community's involvement in California's White Sea Bass Hatchery Program, where volunteers in various harbors staff grow-out facilities. He started the AFTCO Tag Flag program in both the Atlantic and Pacific, which for 18 years greatly helped to increase awareness of and participation in tag and release. Shedd and AFTCO were also responsible for removing indiscriminate longline gear from California waters and played a pivotal role in state and federal efforts that led to the banning of destructive gill nets in California. Anything good that happened for sport fishing in California probably has Bill Shedd to thank for it. IGFA Trustee Emeritus and IGFA Hall of Fame inductee Dr. Guy Harvey once said, "Bill's the first to admit that all these accomplishments came from teamwork with other individuals and organizations. A natural-born leader, Shedd is skilled at building foundations. According to Bill, you must be aware of people's needs. Put your hand out first, and people will do great things." Shedd has received numerous awards, including the American Sport Fishing Association Lifetime Achievement Award, the California Outdoor Writers Association's Californian of the Year, Center for Sport Fishing Policy Eddie Smith Manufacturer of the Year Award, IGFA Conservation Award, United Anglers of Southern California Bill Ray Memorial Award, Motorboating Best of the Year Award, and the CCA California Anthony Shea Award. For his tireless efforts in marine conservation and improving recreational fisheries, the IGFA is proud to induct Bill Shedd into the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame.
Yes, sir. On behalf of the IGFA, our trustees, and the members worldwide, please welcome Mr. Bill Shedd into the IGFA Hall of Fame.
First off, I'd like to thank the entire IGFA Board of Directors for this honor. So many of my heroes are in this Hall of Fame, so this is quite humbling. It's also it's a bit surreal. Starting when I was young, and often repeated later, my father told me, he said, "Billy, with SeaWorld, your mom and I took creatures from the sea that belonged to nobody, but they really belonged to everybody. The business worked, we made money from it. So what that means is that not just your mother and I, but you and other family members have the responsibility to look for ways, to find ways to do things for the ocean in the future." I remembered that while running AFCO over the years, as the Shedd family also benefited from the sport fishing industry and from the fish. If I have in fact accomplished anything for marine conservation and for the sport fishing community in the last 40 years, it was in part to honor that simple request of my father. I was raised not to be prideful, but I have to admit that this evening I feel real pride, and I know that my father would as well, by being named the first child of a Hall of Fame member to be separately inducted into the Fishing Hall of Fame. I've received a whole lot of help along the way. My wife, Jill, of 45 years, was gracious enough to support my marine conservation efforts by giving me additional time away from home. My family, my friends, my coworkers have been just a total blessing to me, as has been my God and my relationship with his son Jesus, as that impacts my entire life, including my marine resource and business activities. I've had the opportunity to work with a number of fishing and conservation and science organizations over the years, run by capable professional leaders and staff who frankly do the real work, while board members like me often get way more than our fair share of the credit. Here with us this evening, there's a number of those organizations and individuals, and I'd like to recognize and thank those organizations, those people, and the opportunity to have been able to work with them. Of course, we have folks here from the IGFA. President Jason Swatweiser's here. Also, former President Rob Kramer, who's now the President of Wild Oceans. The Conservation Chairman of the IGFA, Bruce Pollitt, is here. And thank you, IGFA. We also have the president of the ASA here with us this evening, Glenn Hughes. Glenn's right here. Former president of the ASA, Mike Nussman, is here. Pat Murray, who's the president of CCA National, is here with us. CCA National Chairman Mark Ray is here. Also from CCA California, President Doug Lasko is here with us, and also our treasurer, Don Trojan, as well. The Center for Sportfish Policies President Jeff Andrews is here, along with, hold your applause here if you can for everybody. Sorry, Bob, because you were next. But Bob Hayes, longtime attorney for the sport fishing community, former board chairman of the center, and had huge impact at fisheries in this country. Also from the, and I know I'm going to miss somebody here, and I apologize. I tried to see in the room who all was here earlier. But we do have with us from the Hub SeaWorld Research Institute, President Don Kent, and also from the freshwater side of things for conservation, Gene Gillian is here, who is the conservation director for BASS. So I just want to thank you all that came here this evening. I've had a chance to work with just for so many years. And for what you've done, for what you're doing, for not just for conservation, but for this industry, for this community, for anglers, for the fish. Doesn't happen without the organizations and the staffs. Us board members get more than our fair share of credit, but the real credit is due to many of those folks that I just mentioned. In closing, I'd like to leave you with this. All of us here understand how important sport fishing is, how valuable it is, either for ourselves or for someone that we love. It's not just about the challenge of catching the fish or taking care of the fish. Fishing is a whole lot more than that. Fishing is it's about family and friends, relationships, experiences. It's part of who we are. But the biggest threat to our way of life is the extreme element of the environmental community. They want to kick us off the water unnecessarily. And a couple of recent examples of that is the right whale situation in the Atlantic and the no fishing marine protected areas in the Pacific. Yes, there are rational and important environmental groups that we need to work with and make good partners. We need to, and we do work them. We do work with them. However, we've got no choice. We've got to stand up against this radical element and recognize the fact that even though they don't want to admit it, they're waging war on us. And so let's not kid ourselves. And also, let's not forget that we are the original fish conservationists. It's our history, it's our passion, our leadership, our results, and the some $1.5 billion that we contribute every year to help look after the fish that gives us the right to aggressively fight for the future of sport fishing and the fish. Thank you. We're going to take a picture. Thank you. Okay. Great job. Yeah, thank you.
If you ever want to know what a real hero looks like, look right over there, Bill Shedd, an amazing human being. Mr. Gerald Jerry Garrett. Here he comes. As a young man, Jerry Garrett fell in love with fishing. With his father, he was exposed to giant billfish, and that relationship changed his life forever. As a member of the Tuna Club of Santa Catalina Island, Garrett was the one that drew most of the attention. Let's take a closer look.
Gerald A. Jerry Garrett has been actively involved in the world of sport fishing for over 75 years. Born in Los Angeles, California in 1937, Garrett's passion for fishing started at a young age. In the summer of 1945, his father rented a house in Balboa Island in Southern California. Jerry spent his days catching calico bass from the local wharf and attempting to soak up as much knowledge as possible from the local fishermen. As Jerry grew older, he began to fish with his father frequently, and in 1953, on a trip to Cabo Blanco, Peru, Jerry landed his first marlin, a 700-pound black, after a 2-hour and 15-minute battle. In 1952, after being introduced to the club by his law partner, Jerry's father joined the venerable Tuna Club of Santa Catalina Island. The family became very involved with the club, and Jerry subsequently joined in 1959. As a young angler, he credits the club members with instilling in him the knowledge that has lasted throughout his angling career. While fishing aboard his family's boat, Jeremar, Jerry learned the importance of conservation firsthand. The mantra of the boat was, "Take only that which you can use," and he has carried this notion with him throughout his life. In the history of the prestigious Tuna Club, there is no more decorated angler than Jerry Garrett. Jerry was the first Tuna Club member to earn the silver frame medal for catching a marlin on 12-pound Dacron line. He is also credited as the first Tuna Club member to catch a marlin on 8-pound Dacron, inaugurating the Ruby Frame Medal. Jerry was also named the Tuna Club Angler of the Year, and he's earned 10 out of 12 possible buttons offered by the club, something no other angler in the club's history has done. However, Jerry's angling achievements are not limited to those he received from the Tuna Club. One of Jerry's most impressive angling accomplishments was landing an incredible 813-pound swordfish that earned him the IGFA men's 80-pound line class record. Garrett, then 64 years old, bested the massive swordfish after a grueling 14-hour fight that lasted through the night and into the next morning. While Jerry's accolades are impressive, he would be the first to tell you that it's a family affair, evident by the fact that 10 members of the Garrett family have tagged and released one or more marlin in their lifetime. His wife, Vicki, often accompanied him on trips and served as the captain of the Jeremar for several impressive catches. Vicki also became the first woman to land a marlin on 8-pound Dacron line, which was weighed in at the Tuna Club. Being able to share his passion for the sport with his family has been one of the greatest joys of his life. An IGFA member for more than 50 years, Jerry was appointed as an IGFA representative in 2012. His extensive conservation efforts include working with IGFA Fishing Hall of Famer John Chibnall and former IGFA President Rob Kramer to prohibit the sale of marlin in New Zealand, for which he testified before the New Zealand ministry that the value of marlin in the sport fishing industry supersedes that of commercial sale. For his considerable angling achievements and commitment to fisheries conservation, the IGFA welcomes Gerald A. Garrett to the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame.
On behalf of the IGFA, our trustees, and our members worldwide, I am pleased to induct Gerald Jerry Garrett into the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame. And Jerry is unable to join us this evening, so his son George is here to accept on his behalf. George?
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it greatly. Well done. Awesome. It's just so cool to be here for my father. I want to first of all thank Kimberly Strong and the entire administrative team that got us here got us into the great hotel. Jason and your team and all the trustees for getting Jerry in this, and just thank you guys very much. So let's give a shout out to the IGFA for a great event, okay? My father and I spoke a bunch about this, and he's a fisherman. He likes to get on the rod and reel. His is the best award he's gotten in 75 years of fishing. He's been beaming since Jason and I spoke, or he told me about Jason's letting him know about everything. I had to keep it quiet for a while, and my dad has been, we call it pinging. He gets around the house, he runs around and talks with his wife. We saw Vicky, and they are soulmates. They love to fish together, so this is so cool just to be up here and accept this on his behalf. A whole group of us from the Tuna Club table, just stand up for a second. We all came out to represent for Dad from Southern California. Dave Denholm. Dave, you stay standing up. Everybody sit down. Dave and my father first started fishing on Balboa Island when they were kids with drop lines from public piers. The rest of the guys at the table and my son have fished with my dad and been to New Zealand and had chances for swordfish. So it's just, Dad has a big give back component to his belief in fishing. But again, he just loved it to be on the rod and reel. Early on, Gordy Green was a really cool captain in Newport Beach, and he helped Dad lay the foundation for rigging linen line, fishing very ethically, and going out and fishing, and it was really good with him. After that, there was a gentleman named Bill Pigg, who was like the light tackle marlin guy and a really good sword fisherman in Southern California. He and Dad, for the better part of 20 years, fished, and Dad caught several buttons and really crafted his skill in a much higher level as an adult with Bill Pigg, and Bill Pigg's great. And in New Zealand, Jeff Stone, who you saw pictured there, kind of the scraggly guy, they fished 16 years together, and they were the first in New Zealand to try the deep drop method for swordfish. At the Bay of Islands Swordfish Club, before they started doing their method and had great success with it, there had been 9 swordfish accounted for since the early 20s. Since then, my dad caught 8 swordfish in deep dropping in New Zealand, tagged and released 1. The world record you saw at 8:13. He caught his last one at 74 years old that weighed 600 pounds. The average weight of those fish was 466 pounds. And what they did also as part of a give back, Jeff would give seminars along with my father and telling everybody their methods there, so the fishery exploded. So he had a huge give back component there. Swordfish were at the top of his list for fish. In Southern California, he caught 8 fish, and it was all, that fishery at the time was all surface caught fish. That was amazing. And then he took his boat to Cabo San Lucas in 1969 I think he was in his late 30s. It was a Wild West there. There was no inner harbor, and he got 180-pound swordfish there. So he had a thing for swordfish, and that was at the top of his pinnacle. He has 3 catches he wanted me to share with you as his 3 best catches. Number 3 was a 1,219-pound black marlin on the Great Barrier Reef, which was amazing. His first marlin at 700 pounds, 15 years old, flat-top Jerry, and he's 5'5" and 140 pounds wringing wet, so that was wonderful. And then the swordfish, which was amazing, the 813. They hooked it at, I think, 2 in the afternoon on a deep drop. They had an area they called the Garden Patch. 4 the next morning, they'd never seen the fish, came up licked. Jeff was on board. He put a gaff. Jeff's wife was on board, and they brought it on board. And they could not pull the fish on board, so they ran into to Maunganui, a harbor about 50 miles away from Russell. They had the commercial dock pick it up, put it on board, and they ran it back to Russell. And it's a small country that's so hip to fishing. The news was there, and he was the story of the day with the press there. So that was super cool. But again, Dad was a lifetime attorney. And when we talked about it briefly, he said, "George, this is like me getting appointed to the Supreme Court." So super huge for my dad. Thank you all for the graciousness and the classness and being able to have Dad do something that he didn't expect. It was blown away, and this is the biggest acknowledgement of achievement in his life. So thank the IGFA and thank everybody in this room. Your name is Bill Shedd, right? That was good. I don't know, you'll have to give me grief, but I would have.
Yeah, we're fishermen.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Andy, pleasure.
Yeah,
Well done.
fine. Well, that pretty much wraps up the greatest night in fishing. The 2023 IGFA Hall of Fame is a wrap. Thank you very much for coming here. I'd like to say again, congratulations to all the inductees for inspiring the next generation to not only go out and catch a lot of fish, catch a lot of big fish, but as Bill Shedd made light of, to save these fish. Again, thank you Bass Pro Shops, Bob and Cabela's for being our presenting sponsor, our Hemingway sponsor, Tom Evans, our Zane Gray sponsor, Roy Croniker, AFCO, Mike Criscola, and the Tuna Club. Thank you so much. And our Ted Williams sponsor, Coastal Conservation Association. We could not do this without the team that we all have.